The good news is you got Garrett Cole on the mound tonight. You absolutely need that. But what a fiasco that game was. I mean, just what a kick. And when it goes badly for Chad Greenmoose, why does it feel like it's a crime scene? I mean, it never just goes like a little bad. It's gone really bad for this guy in the last, couple very memorable outings for him. Houston, now this one. And, from the way it sounded on the broadcast last night, Chad Green knew this was going to be his game to close if it was a close game. They made it seem like there was obviously no Britton. There's obviously no Chapman. We don't have Loizaga yet. Like, he was going to be the guy. What could have possibly thrown a wrench into that was Sessa only needing 5 pitches to get out of his inning. But, I mean, honestly, if you're coming to me now, that looks like hindsight. If you're giving me the option between Chad Green and Luis Sessa, aren't you taking Chad Green 10 out of 10? Like, I really can't kill Boone for that. And Chad Green was throwing strikes. The problem was the Red Sox were just turning on all of them. He just couldn't get guys out. And then for the second night in a row, and for the first time throwing in back-to-back games on the major league level in his life, Brooks Kriske inserted into a game at the most crucial time. I mean, you got away with it against the Phillies, and I understand the bullpen was so taxed you really didn't have anywhere else to go, but Kriske in that position again, but this time on the road in your biggest rivalry. I mean, 4 wild pitches. He set a record in terms of the history of the franchise. No one's ever done it. I mean, the bullpen has become the Achilles heel of this team, and this is what may cost them the playoffs.
Well, it could. I mean, listen, you can't go back and Luis Sessa is not going to, I don't care if he threw 3 pitches to get through the 8th inning. Luis Sessa is not going to be handed the ball with Chad Green being available for that 9th inning. So, I saw, our buddy Tim Doyle was tweeting me last night after the game, stick with Luis Sessa. The Yankees were by no way, shape, or form going to stick with Luis Sessa.
No, they had
the decision that they were going to go with Chad Green. You go into a game that you don't have Zach Britton, who was short the game before. You don't have Aroldis Chapman, due to use, even though he's only thrown, 60 pitches, I believe the number is, over his last 6 or, he hasn't thrown a ton of pitches, but still, he was not available last night. So you go into it, it's a Chad Green game. There's really no excuses. I mean, you cannot on an 0-2 pitch give up a single to Bobby Dahlbeck. You can't do that. And then you can't throw a fat fastball right down the middle, to Kiki Hernandez, who drills it into the left center field gap if you're Chad Green and you're a swing and miss guy. You just can't do it. The location's got to be there. And I understand they're pointing out the fact on the broadcast last night on the S Network that he doesn't have the extra giddy up on his fastball to pitch in the upper part of the strike zone. I mean, I guess. I mean, to an extent. But, I mean, you got to be able to bear down if you're Chad Green. You really do. I mean, there's no excuses. This is not on Aaron Boone. This is not on the offense. This is not on anything of that. They handed Green the baseball, going through not the heart of the Red Sox order, not the heart of it. And Chad Green, unfortunately, swallowed his own tongue on the field up in Boston. I mean, how many gut punches, as Aaron Boone described it after the game, how many gut punches can this team go out there and take? They've had one bad loss after another. It happens at least once a week, whether it be the Astros game, whether it be this game last night up in Beantown. They were 9-3 going into the game last night, whether it be the Angels at 1 o'clock in the morning or Aroldis Chapman in that one. I mean, the Mets game with Chapman as well, giving up the home run of Pete Alonso, and they put up a crooked number. How many times can this team, be put in a position to win? And, yeah, I know the Yankees didn't score a ton of runs last night. I get it. But still, in the end, you handed a guy that you trust in Green the ball with a 2-run lead, and Chad Green, unfortunately for the Yankees, gave it up. I don't want to hear about Kriske and extra innings. I understand it was a tough spot. You got through it with the Philadelphia Phillies. He threw 4 wild pitches on record. In actuality, he threw 5 in the half inning because 1 came with nobody on base, which led to a guy, obviously led to a walk with that other one. But still, I don't blame him. The game was lost. Splitters. The game was lost in the 9th inning. I mean, it really was. That is a game you got to win. There is no excuses. You can't keep on sacrificing dates, and you can't keep on sacrificing games. And now you got, you've got Garrett Cole going on the mound tonight. We talked about at worst, you got to go 2-2 in this series. So you blow game 1, in which Montgomery comes back after an hour and 12-minute rain delay and pitches very, very well. You set it up to where it works out perfectly. You get a good situational hit by Giancarlo Stanton. You have a 2-run lead, and that's the day that Chad Green decides to throw 95-mile-an-hour fastballs right down the heart of the plate. I mean, it's amazing. You can't make it up at some point in time when you're watching the game. It was an impossible sleep last night. It was infuriating and frustrating. I've knocked Luis Sessa. Sessa did a nice job in the 8th inning. I can't hear about Sessa coming in the 9th. The Yankees would never do it. The analytics department would never allow the Yankees to do it. They had a game plan, and the plan, even with a short bullpen, it's set up perfectly, and Green, unfortunately, did not get the job done. So here's what you do learn. Number one is Green can never close for this team, right? We talk about guys and options for this team. Chad Green's not going to be a guy that's going to be able to step in and close for this team.
Well, they need to get some bodies
Chapman
back.
Goes sour, right? Zach Britton's not a guy right now coming off the IL with how poorly he has pitched, is not going to be a guy that's going to be able to step into that closer's role. The importance of Aroldis Chapman, you've got a good instance slap in the face last night about the importance of Aroldis Chapman for this team, given the nature of that closer's roles and guys that can handle it and guys that can't handle it. And Chad Green is one guy, he's great in the 7th inning. He can pitch the 8th inning. You throw him in that 9th inning. That is a game that Chad Green's got to save, and the Yankees have to win.
I had forgotten, too, that Chad Green facing Kike Hernandez earlier in the season, Moose, in early June, was the guy on the mound where Kike Hernandez broke his 0-for-27 streak and got some confidence off of that, and then went on a tear.
Middle at 95 miles an hour.
He was throwing strikes, and they were hitting him.
But that's not the location for Green last night was awful. Was absolutely awful. The arrogance where he thinks that he's going to be able to blow the fastball by everybody, and the location was off. On a 1-0 pitch, he throws a fastball right down the heart of the plate, and Kike Hernandez, good fastball hitter, does what guys do on the major league level. He absolutely drilled it. And then you get the high bounce off of the wall. Gardner's pointing to Florial. Florial's nowhere close to the play at that stage because we know Brett's got no arm whatsoever. So Florial comes over, grabs it off the bounce, and throws it in. Meanwhile, they both run scored. So, and at that stage, Maggie, it was just a matter of time. The Red Sox were going to win that baseball game. So, that was the time for the Yankees to win it. Unfortunately, Chad Green did not go out there and do his job, and he was bad at the worst possible moment. Once again.
It was a horrible performance by the bullpen. They are obviously, though, missing some really key pieces, but Chad Green is someone you thought you could trust, and he has been in the middle of some of the worst losses that the Yankees have incurred this season, and it is difficult. I thought the offense, Moose, you'll say you'll give them a pass. I thought the offense could have done a lot more last night. We can say that every night about the Yankees, but, the small ball, it's fun, it is effective, and I get that, and I know this ended up scoring a run, so you really can't be too nitpicky about it. But when you have 2 on and no outs, can you not ask Rougned Odor to maybe try to hit a home run there? I get bunting, and it happened, and it was effective. And again, they moved the runners, and they scored a run. But again, this is what he does. He's a lefty. He has power, not like he used to with the Texas Rangers, which is why he's even on the Yankees to begin with. But he does have power. The Yankees have shown, especially with your bullpen, with not a lot of great options, at your disposal last night. Can you try to at least, instead of playing for the 1-run lead or the 2-run lead, maybe try to do a little bit more damage there? I know everyone hates it that the Yankees are always swinging for the fences, but last night you really could have used a homer. And, the other thing, too, and I know Stanton came up with a really clutch hit, and so I want to give him his credit when he does come up with that clutch hit. They take a 2-1 lead. It was really great to see him come through in the 8th inning like that. But when you're in the 10th inning and he's back up to bat, and I swear to you, Moose, he didn't see the ball and he swung anyway. That is insane. Some of the pitches that he is swinging at, he has just made up his mind, I'm swinging. And the ball could be on the cape and he would still swing. It doesn't matter. That to me is a big, big problem. Not just that he waves at stuff and he has made his mind. I'm swinging at this pitch. They pitch 3 feet outside. He's still swinging at it. In the dirt, still swinging at it. Come on. Bad ball pitcher, I get. But that's insane ball pitcher, hitter. Bad ball hitter, okay, great. Fine, you can get a lot of home runs that way. What he did last night in the 10th was ridiculous that he swung at 2 of those pitches. They were nowhere close. They never started as strikes, and then became ball. No. That's bailing him out. That was as horrible of an at-bat as I've seen from Stanton. And again, giving him credit for the 8th inning, but in the 10th, that was atrocious.
Yeah, it was a bad at-bat, but I go back to the conversation I had about Giancarlo Stanton a long time ago when I was on MLB TV, and I was doing an appearance with Al Leiter, and Al and I were talking about Stanton, and Stanton, he said basically he's a pure guess hitter. And you see it time and time again. When he guesses right, he's going to hit the ball 450 feet. When he guesses wrong, you're going to get that at-bat that Maggie that you saw in that 10th inning. You're right, terrible at-bat. But I hear what you're saying about the offense. It's hard, and yes, they could have put up more runs. And you could say that about any team in any game, right? Especially when you lose in heartbreaking fashion the way that the Yankees did. But
it wasn't failure, it was strategy.
You give them, but here's the problem. The problem with that is I put my team, if I drew it up yesterday before the game, and I said, I'm handing the ball to Chad Green, bottom of the 9th inning, you've got a 2-run lead, whether it be 2-0, 3-1, 5-3, 4-2. Aaron Boone would have signed on the dotted line. The Yankees would have said, we're good to go, and they would have taken it. So I get they could have put up more runs. I understand about the philosophy of what the Yankees are trying to do now, get more action, put pressure on the defense, generate offense, not being reliant on the home run. If we were giving them credit for it, but going into the game last night, it's hard for me to come out of that game last night knocking them for following a similar mindset, having a similar game plan, and they got that game where they wanted it.
I know,
they got that game where they wanted it.
But the thing is that earlier when we were talking about the small ball and how we liked, the double steals and the bunts and the moving guys and all of that, the sac flies, they were also still hitting home runs in those games. They still needed to be who they are. And I guess I'm just, I don't want it. We always talk about balance. Like, you don't want it to go so far in one direction. Also, the Boston Red Sox are a much better team than the Phillies. They're a better team. They're going to make you pay. You make, any kind of mistakes, you leave the door open at all, and the Red Sox are going to kick down the door.
Well, but the Phillies have been playing good baseball for the previous month going into that Yankee series. I just don't, I was not personally thinking when Green is on the mound, bottom of the 9th inning, the Yankees need to score more. I personally was not.
I thought it when Odor bunted. I was like, "What? Come on!"
I said to myself, "This is what you wanted. This is how you drew it up. You were short in the bullpen. This has worked out perfectly. Look at this Yankee team. They're going to take the first game up at Fenway Park, hand it off to Garrett Cole on Friday night, be 10-3 in the last 13, and maybe and certainly have gotten hot here." I was not personally thinking about it. I get the mindset. I get the narrative and the logic and everything that you're saying, Maggie. I personally was not thinking it. I really wasn't. The offense, even though they weren't great last night, they did enough. They did enough and gave the guy that they wanted closing the game last night the baseball, and he spit the bit.
Well, I mean, that's definitely...
He wears the goat horn.
That's definitely the headline. I thought the offense was capable of more. Again, Odor the bunt, but also even like Florial getting caught in the rundown. It's like, this is that stuff that bothers you about the Yankees. We've been heaping a lot of praise on the energy these guys have brought. I mean, that was a big slap in the face wake-up call for them yesterday, those young guys, if they needed it. That was definitely one, and hopefully now that they respond to. Listen, Garrett Cole on the mound is the best possible anecdote. Anecdote? No, I need a anti-venom? Antiseptic? Is that what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
I think I need
clean up a cut.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I need to suture this wound. How about that?
You could go there. Yeah.
Okay.
You go stitches.
Garrett Cole or your stitches. Yeah. That's what he's got to be tonight. And
I don't know what's worse, the Yankee loss or the new Cleveland Indians name, the Guardians.
Yeah, you saw this and you were like, ugh.
Oh my God.
It doesn't offend me.
That's a terrible name.
What did you want? Spiders?
I don't know. The Guardians?
I know, but if you're gonna critique it, don't you have to offer a better option?
The Guardians is like a team name that you'd see in some Disney movie.
No, it's the XFL.
And in the XFL, I understand that, but it's like that's a terrible name, the Guardians. The Cleveland Guardians.
What are they guarding?
Big series this weekend, Yankees Guardians.
Yankees guards. The G's.
It's just an awful name.
I would have gone Spiders. Wasn't that part of their history?
They came into the room, and that's what they came out with. You know what, guys? We're going to be the Guardians. All right. Let's go get it.
Anyway. Fierce. Very fierce.
That was depressing. That name is terrible. But we don't live in Cleveland. We live in New York.
Well, and you're staying up past midnight to just watch this team totally just blow it. Oh, my gosh. 877-337-6666.